make everyone to hear what is said for them in this presentation. That way, whatever you need to hear, God will give you the grace to hear it and to ginger you to start jumping into the wagon. Everybody's going to hear different things from this presentation, but it's the same presentation everybody will hear, but we'll pick different things. Whatever works for you, whatever the Spirit least puts in your mind, please lash on it. We'll be talking about owning multiple properties, rental business, and strategies to consider in property investment. That's where a lot of people miss it. You need to know what strategy you are using. The same strategy does not work for everybody. You have to choose which one works for you. And please, I forgot to say, in the course of the presentation, if you want to stop me and for questions, please do. It's the two ways they are streamed, not just me talking. Now, refinancing example, I have one example for refinancing. That is the key. That is a really major aspect of real estate, but which many people don't really understand. We're always focusing on the cash flow, but the biggest part of real estate is refinancing, is equity take home or capital gain. Now, if you're going to be doing rental business, selections of how to go about it matters a lot. And that's where a lot of people miss it. And if you don't know what you're doing, how to do it, then you mess up a whole lot of things, and it becomes a bad investment for you. Now, we're going to talk a little bit, if we have enough time to get into that. Running a rental business, that's basically the management part of our job. Then factors affecting rental business. Now, investment. Like I said, I believe everybody in this forum knows what's investment. No, the dictionary definition of investment is the action or process of investing money for profit. Now, that definition tells me three things. One, there's going to be an action or a process, and there's going to be money involved, and then you get a profit. Now, you need the key aspect here is the action, the process, and that's where people don't usually lash on. You cannot get the benefit if you don't take the action. Now, there are different kinds of investment: mutual fund, bond, stock. They are all good investment. Real estate is just one aspect of investment, just one type of investment. Now, what works for family A might not work for family B. So you need to know what works for you. But for me, what I'm sharing here now is just my experience. I've been in the real estate industry since 2014. I believe I can say I have authority in real estate, and I know real estate to some extent. I don't know it all, but my experience is what I'm going to share with you guys today. And for me, personally, my opinion is real estate is one of the best investments you can do. Stock is good. Other mutual funds, they're all great. But to me, real estate is one of the best. Now, the dictionary definition for real estate is it means the form of real property, which is meaning something you own that is attached to a piece of land. Now, it could be residential, commercial, industrial. But for our discussion today, we're going to limit ourselves to residential. Real estate is huge. Commercial will be a discussion for another day. But residential, for our purpose today, it's what we're going to focus on. Now, what makes real estate different from other investment? Like I said, there are different types. One is tangible. You can see it. I always tell people it's not digital. All other investment, I call them digital investment. You see them in digital world, but real estate, you see it. It's tangible. You can't move it and throw it away. Now it's there. Now it's low risk. It's a long-term investment. If you are going into investment, real estate investment, and you're thinking you're going to make money quick, you are in the wrong investment vehicle. Real estate is for long. The longer you hold it, the more you make profit out of it. Now, real estate have different income streams. Most of other investment is just what the investment is. Mutual fund, you get it's straight, but real estate is different. Now, there's a cash flow, there's equity take home, which is the biggest part. And for me, I also look at it as a legacy where you can transfer to your next generation. You can leave it asset to your next generation. That's what makes real estate very, very attractive for me. It's not just one thing. If you're not making money from the cash flow, you definitely make money in equity with time. Now, you can also make money from cash flow now, and equity becomes a bonus for you. Some important things to know. My brother was talking about wealth. Now, wealth cut across one lifetime. Wealth is transferable from one generation to another. What we, the fourth generation, majority of us on this forum now, I believe we're fourth generation. Now, I call us bulldozers. We're the ones that, if you look at in any city development, the first thing that the government does is to create road. They have to create road before development starts, before they start building houses, start building hospitals. The road has to be done. Now, we as fourth generation, we are the one that create that road for our next generation to follow. We're the bulldozers. We're the one that's going to cut down all the trees, noting the road, so that when our next generation is coming, they come do the paving and just be on highway. So we are the founding fathers of wealth for our children. Now, wherever we stop, our children is going to take over from there. Now, if we, the fourth generation, don't do it, the next generation will not be forced to do it. There's no two ways. You have to plant. You have to plant the seed before you reap, and we are the ones to do that. Now, another important thing to know is the people you meet as fourth generation when you come into this country or into any country, the people you meet determines how your achievement will be. Now, the people in your circle, which are the people you meet, that you mingle with, that you talk with all the time, they are the ones that, if they are good, if they are into real estate, you are more likely to go into real estate as well. Now, whatever we do affects our next generation. If you surround yourself with positive or forward thinkers, you will become like them. It's simple. If everybody in your circle, they are professionals, you tend towards following their path as well. Now, I always tell people, if you are the smartest person in your circle, then your circle is too small. You should not be the smartest person in your circle. If you are the rich, if you're in your circle, you are the little one that has one house, then the zeal to build more will not be there. If you surround yourself with somebody that has 5, 10 houses, you will always be aspiring to get more like the person. So if you're the smartest person in your circle, please find a way to increase your circle. Now, second generation, those are our children and our children's children. Now, I have 2 stories about second generation that I want to throw out there for us to have an idea. Around 2014, 2015, when I was trying to get to do an infield. Infield is where you buy an old house in a bigger lot, you tear it down, build 2, then you sell. You make money. Technically, you're building 2 houses in a single lot, and you sell 2. Now, I was, as a first generation, was moving from bank to bank, look for a loan to be able to execute that project. And the bank was telling me, hey, you have to own the land free and clear. I didn't have the money to hold the land free and clear. Now, I started looking for people who have done it, to know how they have done it and how they did it. I came across a young guy who was early 30s or late 20s, early 30s, young guy, second generation. I met him in a house he was selling. He was doing 2 of what I was trying to do. But the difference was he was doing 2 with his own money. He didn't have to go to the bank looking for a loan to be able to do the project. I was struggling with 1, but he was doing 2. I got interested and I found out more how he's able to do that. And noticed that his father came into the father, first generation, came into the country as a tile installer. They struggled, bought 1 house, started a business, continued, now had many houses before the father died. So when the father died, those wealth transferred to him. So he was able to do 2 without even going to the bank. That's the first generation, second generation story. Whatever we do today will set our children up or will bring them down, or they will have to come and start from where we stop. Now, the other story I had, I also met a second generation fellow, where I was doing, back in the days, I used to do cleaning. I had cleaning business, I'd look for contracts and do the cleaning. I met this guy in one of the places I was cleaning once a week. He was an Ethiopian guy, young as well. He said, hey, my employer, they are talking to me the way he doesn't like. He's going to quit the job. I said, why? Why can't you quit the job? I later get to find out that the guy has about 10 to 12 houses paid off. I got interested. I thought, let me find out how did you able to do this in this country? Even though it was easier then, but I discovered that he's the second generation. The father was the fourth generation, started the whole trade. If they got in the coin struggle, buy one house, buy two, buy three, he joined them, and behold, when the father was passed, he had about 12 houses paid off. Following 2 weeks, he never came to work. That is a second generation story. So we can do that for our children, depending on our actions that we take now. The real question is why people don't invest in real estate. Now, the biggest of it all is fear. People don't like, they're afraid to take decisions. Fears can be as a result of so many things. But I believe if you equip yourself with the knowledge, the know-how, and the right people around you, the fear will be reduced. There's always fear, especially when you're going to be signing a contract of 600,000, 800,000, 300,000. The fear is there. When we bought our first property, I was shaking when I was doing it as well. But if you remove the fear, the know-how, and have the right people, it makes it a lot easier. Experience, of either your own experience or from other people, loss, got burnt, difficult tenant, different reasons. Everybody have different reasons. Now, all the reasons have answers to them if you go to the right place to seek the answer. No money. No money is the biggest of what people say, but there are creative ways. There are creative ways you can overcome that. For example, our first property, I didn't have a down payment when I paid when we bought our first property. I don't make it zero down. I don't advise people to do the zero down. I just look for different creative ways to be able to raise the down payment. I actually borrowed the money through the RRSP loan to get the first property. If you know the program, if you have information is key and is powerful. I got a loan, left it there for 3 months. It became a down payment. So that's a topic for a different day. Now, don't know how to or what to do. That can easily be resolved. Now, other investment, okay, I'm doing other investments. I don't want to do real estate. That's okay. Like I said, there are different forms, different types of investment. Now, some people will say, if I buy now, the value may fall in the future. It's okay. But if you have information, if you have people around you that knows about real estate, they will tell you it's a circle. Real estate goes up and down. Actually, rich people, they buy when the value falls. They buy more to position themselves because they know definitely it will rise up, it will rise again. And by the time it's rising, they have more properties. If you understand this circle, the business circle, the same thing as the real estate circle, it goes up and down. So it depends. If you know when to get in and when to get out, you definitely enjoy real estate. I don't want to deal with tenants. Well, that's a big concern. All I tell people, get a property manager. And the money you spend they are all tax write-off. If you don't understand the whole process, then all these will deter you from actually doing it. These are really not things that will make you not to go into real estate if you want to go into. I will lose money. Yes, it's a possibility if you do it wrong. People lose money when they do it wrong. How will I pay mortgage if it doesn't not rent? Now, I always tell people, it's not what the market is, it's what you do in the market. Right now, the rental market is really, really soft. Now, there are people there who's just there for months, they've not rented. If you don't adjust to the market, you'll be there without tenant. If you list a property for 1,500 and nobody's renting, drop it a little bit and somebody will take it. If you're carrying a very small loss, even if it's 100, in a year it's 1,200. But if you stay on that, you're not dropping it, you want to get a high rent, your mortgage alone is more than 2,000. So you're losing out already. It's how you adjust to the market that matters, not the market you are in. Now, my question to everybody is, what's your reason for not doing it? Your reason, there's definitely an answer to your reason that can make you say, okay, let me jump on the wagon. Now, I'll tell you a little bit of why you should invest in real estate. It's an investment just like any other type of investment, tangible, less risky for fourth generation. We came into this country 30, 40, 50 years. Some of us in the 50s, some in 30, some of us in 40. Now, if you were not born here, everybody knows that time is very key in terms of wealth. If you have enough time, you get to where you want to get. The majority of us, whether we like it or not, majority of the first immigrants may never get to become a millionaire. But children that were born here, they have that opportunity if they start investment early to get into the millions. So for us who came at a later part, I feel, just my opinion, that real estate is a safe place because it's not like the digital investment I'm talking about that can disappear at any time. That's for me. Now, the value always goes up over time. That is sure. Just that many people have not latched onto this. They keep thinking that the prices will go down. During the last market shift, some people were waiting for the price to go down before they jump in. The price might go down a little, but over time, if you take average of 10, 20 years, the prices goes up. And that's why I said real estate it's a long-term investment. It's not for 2 years, 3 years. Statistically, house price doubles every 15 to 20 years. We'll see that later. It doubles every 15 to 20 years. That's from statistics. It's not me saying it. If you understand that aspect of real estate, then the fear of the price will come down will not be an issue for you. Now, we're going to see an example when we get to refinancing. Real estate is an asset. It can support you in other business. If you have one, it's very easy for you to get 2, 3. And for those who are interested in commercial, especially first generation immigrant like us who didn't come with money to get into commercial, it's a lot of capital. Now, if you start with residential, you have 1, 2, 3 residential, it becomes easier for you to get into commercial, which is 20%. For example, if you're doing a $2 million deal or $3 million deal, you have to put 20% down. But if you already have 1 or 2 or 3 residential houses, it now serves as an asset that they can use to support. Even if you want to buy a business, your house can serve as an asset for them to approve you a loan. It's very important. It's valued for us. You hold on to it, it will always rise again. That's business cycle, real estate cycle, the same. You can liquidate at any time, especially for those of us who believe in towards a retirement, they will still go back home. You can have properties now when you're ready to go. It's a matter of saying, okay, if you have 4 properties, let me liquidate 3, leave 1 year or liquidate 1, go. At any time, you can liquidate at any time for any reason, basically. Retirement. Now, a lot of people, I've come to see a lot of clients and people when we're talking to them, they always say that they always have the belief that they will pay off their properties for retirement. Property is good for retirement, but if you're not careful, if you don't understand what you really want your property for in retirement, you might get stuck. Now, I'll give you an example. If you have 1 house, you paid it off, and that's your only house for retirement. That's the only house you have. Now, you have 800,000 tied in your house at retirement, and now you need money. The 800,000 become useless to you because you're sitting on that house. For you to access that house, you have to have an income. And at retirement, we're no longer working. The retirement benefit we're getting will not be enough for them to approve you a mortgage. So now, the only option you have to access your 800,000 tied in that house is to sell the house. And if you sell, where are you going to go? You're going to go start renting. So I always advise people is good to have multiple houses. That way, when you're at retirement, you need access to funds. You have something to where to get the funds from. Now, if you don't have multiple houses and you are relying on your house or the equity you have in that house, it becomes challenging to access it. So please watch out for that. Now, real estate, I wrote a possible cash flow because some property you might not cash flow. We'll come to that when we're doing refinancing aspect, where if you're not cash flowing in your property, doesn't mean you're losing money. I have that challenge, mostly Nigerians. I have other clients from other race, they understand the logic. They will buy a house for renter, even though their rental income does not cover their mortgage, their property tax, and their insurance. Even if it's $300-400 extra they are paying, they will go ahead and buy that property as long as they have where to cover that 300-400. If you multiply 300 by 400 by 12 by 5, it's the mathematicians will know. But the money you make from your property, if you really understand real estate, is way more than that 30,000, 20,000, or whatever you are putting in 5 years. I always advise people, if you can afford that $300-400 extra that you're losing from anywhere, take it. It's like an investment. It's like a savings. In 5 years' time, you'll make times 3 of that money. We'll come to that later. Now, legacy, like I've talked to this already, stepping stone for our next generation. Now, what people don't know, a business house, not the house you're living in, the business house, let's say your renter, everything there is tax write-off, tax deductible. I'm not a tax specialist. If you talk to your accountant, they will tell you that as far as the business house, even your mortgage interest is a write-off. I used to tell people when I'm helping them get the property, when we get a mortgage, I'll tell them, hey, it's a business property. Take a cashback mortgage. Get that cash. Let your interest increase by 1%. That cash, 5% of the mortgage value can go into another down payment. Now, the interest you are paying is a business house. It's tax write-off. So it's a win. If you really understand the way things work, you will not be running away from it. But that's a discussion for another day. Now, equity take home, which is the best aspect of property business. I will have one example to show to us to the later part of the presentation. Let me see. Now, what to know about when to invest in real estate? When people ask me this question, I know what they mean. They need an answer that says, hey, this is the right time to buy real estate. I don't have the answer for you. Now, I have the answer for you if you don't understand real estate business. Now, I'll tell you, the best time to buy it your own time when you're ready. First, you are in your own lane. You are not in competition with anybody. Now, what people mean by when is the best time? They want to actually know which type of market. Is it the seller's market, the buyer's market, or whatever balance market is the best time to jump in? My simple answer is any time is the best time. If you know when to enter into real estate in the seller's market, you will get in. If you know when to get out of real estate in the seller's market, you will get out. Then the same thing in a buyer's market and a balanced market. You just need to know what you're doing, how you're doing, and when to do them. Anytime you have the funds, the employment, we'll come to that later as well, the employment, the fund, the down payment, and the pre-qualification, go for it if you know what you're doing. Now, what majority of immigrants don't look at when they're talking about real estate business, they don't look at the opportunity cost of not doing it. They look at the value right now. For example, the example I just gave. If you're having a $500 short in your loss every month in your rental, you will decide not to go into it. Say no. Somebody have told me, Govin, if you can't rent my house, that everything covers the mortgage, I'm not buying. And he refused to buy. But now, the opportunity cost of not buying it, even when he can afford that $300 extra, is this. Now, if you buy that house today, you're having $300 short. Let's for the argument, and it's not in all cases where you have a negative cash flow. No, there are.
Sorry, Mr. Godwin. So someone has muted you. We can't hear you again. You are still muted.
On mute. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Sorry. Now, not in all cases you have a negative cash flow. There are there are some properties, they're actually positive cash flow. That's a plus. But if you do have a negative cash flow and you're refusing to buy because of that, what you're losing is not that property, is the opportunity cost for not doing it. What you would have gained in 5 years, that is what you're losing. And many first immigrants don't look at that. We just look at the face value. Hey, 300, I'm not. If I'm making 300, I'll buy. But we'll come to that later as well if we have enough time. Okay, are you anytime? What to know about real estate? At your time, anytime you have the income and down payment. Now, especially income, I always advise whenever I have the opportunity. When you have a job, you are making the income, please use it. Because I've got a client who had a job. I was encouraging him to buy because he thought it was because of the commission that I was going to get. He refused to buy. Down the road, 5 months time, he lost his job. He had money, he had lost his job. I felt sorry for him, but he was unable to buy when he actually wanted to buy. So when you have the income, don't even let the down payment be a big issue. There are different ways, we'll come to that, different ways you can structure the down payment and still buy. Income is the biggest factor. No bank will give you a loan, except you want to buy cash. You came all the way from Africa with money. No bank will give you loan without income. So when you have that income, please make the maximum use of it. I tell people, the bank will be the one to tell me, hey, you're too much high risk. Go, we won't give you. I will not keep myself before the battleground. Go to that bank and try to get something. You'll be surprised. It might just work out. I'm not going to talk about this again. It's already trashed many times already. Now, what to know about, okay, when everyone is rushing to buy, it's normally what, see, people make that mistake. It's just a normal human psychology. When people notice one person is buying, two persons are buying, they all start panicking to buy, and that jack up the price. If you understand the market, you will know when to actually buy and when not to buy. It's when people are running away, that's when you should be putting your head, because by the time people are coming, you're already better positioned than them. So take note. You need to know what you're doing, understand the market, the real estate market very well. Then you will not make the mistake people have made. Okay, buying for those who don't have their first home, buying your first home, it's prerequisite. Like I said, employment. Funny enough, the system is designed in a way that when you're self-employed, it becomes more difficult. So if you are planning to start your own business, please make sure you buy your house first before you switch from the employee to be the self-employed. It's so funny the way system works. You make more money as self-employed, but they will not trust you to give the mortgage. If you're making less money as an employee, you get the mortgage in 3 months. Minimum history, you get it. So know when to switch. If you are switching, don't just switch. Always get knowledge. Knowledge is power. Understand what you're going to do. If you are a self-employed or you're doing your own business, they need 2-year history. Now, if you have your own business, you also have the flexibility of having a creative way to get it. You can decide to pay yourself, make yourself an employee in your business. If you have the right people around you and with the right bank, there's some bank who does that. There's some bank who will say no. If you have the right people, the right resources, you'll be amazed what you can achieve. Now, if you have cash, you can also buy cash. But I personally never advise people, if you have the cash, instead of using the cash to buy one house, use the cash to buy 10 houses. There's power in using other people's money. Down payment is for first-time buyers. Down payment is normally between 5% to 7.5%. Now, 5% is if it's below the 500,000 mark. Then if it's above the 500,000 mark, whatever is above the 500,000 mark, it becomes 10%. So, if, for example, you are buying a 600,000 home, the first 500,000 will be 5%, then the 100,000 above will be 10%. If you work it out, most times it comes to 7.5%, depending on the value of the property you're buying. Then you need a credit history, 1 or 2 credit files. Your mortgage specialist will do better justice on those ones than myself. Now, you need to get a pre-qualification to actually know what what the bank will qualify for you. When you have a pre-qualification, they will tell you, hey, we'll approve it for 500,000, 800,000, then you know what to go buy. Now, purchase, buying. Now, this is where things start going wrong for some people. And if you do it wrong, that's the end. There was a client of mine, when they were buying a condo for her, they bought a very wrong condo. The condo, when she came for us to help her rent, when I got into the condo, I said, oh my God. First time a young girl, she was less than 30, she was crying. It took time for me to encourage her not to just give up. She almost gave up on real estate investment. Now, that's because how she did it. The investment is not the wrong thing. It's how people do it that makes a difference. You need to understand everything about real estate. Now, if you're buying a house, there are two types. Resale, that's already existing house. Now, that's the house you buy from MLS. Somebody owned it before, they're selling, you're buying what you get. Now, I always advise people, if you're buying a residential home for yourself, buy anything you like. It's your house. You're never going to complain about your house. Too small, too big, too low, too high. You're never going to complain. But the moment you are not going into rental business, owning the second home and third home and fourth home, you cannot have 3 homes and be living in them. You have to rent them out. So now, the moment you are crossing that boundary into rental, everything becomes a key. The type of house you buy becomes a key. There was a house I was renting down south. It's in Bombay. Now, whenever a tenant is leaving the house, me, that is the manager, will be crying. The reason being, I know it's going to take me 3 months to get a new tenant. But whereas there are some properties that if a tenant, I'm praying for the tenant to leave, because the next tenant coming in, I'll get a higher rent from them. Now, the difference between those two houses is just the way the house is built. If your house is too narrow, if it's too wide, if the ceiling height is low, if the basement is not flowing very well, it's not functional. Now, you that own the house, you will never complain about your house. But if me that's coming to rent your house and be paying 2,000, 3,005, trust me, I will only get that house when I'm in trouble. The moment I move into the house, I start picking all the rubbish. And at the end of the day, I will never renew. So now, before the 1 year, I look for a reason to terminate, or I will never renew. So now, if you are the owner of that property, you are going to be having a turnaround every time. And you'll be complaining, hey, this business is a bad business. It's not the business, it's how you are doing it. If you buy the right house, do the things the right way, you will enjoy real estate, rental business or real estate business. Now, pre-sale is the one you build yourself. It takes about 8 to 10 months to build. You go there, you build. I love that one. I do more of that because you can do all the selection. And the best part of that is if you buy the house today, you are taking possession next year. Between now and next year, if you buy right, the community appreciation will be there before you even take possession. I'll give you an example. Our second home, when we bought it, I actually bought the second home with a credit card. I will explain that later. Now, before we took possession, there was already over 20,000 in equity on that house that was there for me to even pay off the credit card I used to buy. So now, if you know what to do, you will not regret real estate business. Types of property, I'm just going to run today. There are apartment condos, bungalow, bi-level, townhouses, half duplex, full duplex, single family detached, single family front attached, multifamily. Let me take time there. Tips, some things that can help you to set up into your buying. Look out for programs. Ask people. Don't be secretive. Ask people. That's another challenge immigrants have. We don't talk. We believe if I tell this man, he's going to, I don't know. Now, that man might just have the right thing for you to get into that wagon. So ask people. Ask people what they've done, how they did it. It will definitely help you. Don't buy an expensive car. This one, whenever I say that, I always laugh. Don't buy an expensive car if you know you're buying a house tomorrow. It affects your bandwidth in your mortgage approval. I made that mistake. If you need to know everything about the business to know how to get in. No credit collection, make sure you pay your bills well. Have professionals in your circle, realtors, agent, mortgage specialists, lawyers, bankers. Now, down payment. There are different ways to structure a down payment. Different ways. Now, savings. Of course, you can save and use it to. That's good. Now, you can use the investment. Now, in this investment, let me just say a quick one, a little way of structuring it out. If you have investments that is there, you don't need to break your investment. If you use the investment to qualify, and you have, if you are buying a pre-sale, and you have 8 to 10 months to take possession, you can use the investment you have to qualify and save the money or get the money between that possession time when it's possession. So there are different ways. You don't have to have the cash for you to be able to raise down payment. Gift cards. Some banks accept gift cards from friends and family. There's different creative ways you can do that as well. Use liability to create assets. Some people don't believe in this, but I do. There's a good debt, there's a bad debt. I just mentioned our second property in my family. I was actually bought with a credit card. I took a client to Cornerstone. I got there this week, we went to show, and the whole place was full. The following week, we came to buy for him. Everything, the whole street was gone. Something struck me. If everything went in one week, then there's something in this area I don't know. And I didn't have any money, but I had a job there. So what I did, moved money from the credit card into my checking account, left it there for 90 days. That's what I used for a down payment. And that's how we got the house. And before we collected the house, the house has appreciated more than the down payment was 17,000. When I tell people, they laugh at me. So you spend 19 credit card history was interest was about 19%, and I paid it off in less than a year. So good debt, bad debt depends on how you do it, how you manage it. Now, owning multiple properties, for those who want to jump into it or have not, or you're scared, it's as easy as buying the first one. You just need to know how to do it, how to do it, and how to go about it. Now, again, you have to have income. You have to have down payment. Now, some people have this conception, this idea that every second home is 20%. No, it's not. That's the reason why you need to talk to people who have done it. There are sometimes you can buy a second home with 5%. Done it for clients many times. It's perfectly legal. It's not illegal. The bank will approve it. You just need to know how to structure it. So if you have the right people, the right bank, you will definitely get it. So money is not always the issue all the time. It's just how we go about it. Strategies. This is key for rental income. If you're on the first, just the single primary home, you don't need to worry about it. It's your primary residence. You don't need to worry about this. But if you're crossing from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, you need to know what strategy are you doing. If your cash flow, if all your mind is about the cash flow, which is the maximum you get monthly, there are ways you structure it that will benefit you. First, stretch the amortization long. So you'll be paying more at the end of the day interest, but every month you have your cash flow. But if your idea is capital gain, different way to structure it. It all depends on what you do. Family A might all be out for cash flow. Family B for capital gain. Family C, who has some more budget, will say, I want to combine both. When I'm dealing with a client the first time who wants to buy a rental business, I always like to sit down with them for hours to understand them properly, to know what strategy. Everybody don't have the same strategy. You have to know which one works for you, to know what type of house, what type of style you use, what type of mortgage you get. It's very important. Now, cash flow. The good thing about cash flow, you don't need to sell. You get it monthly. Now, not all, if your business does not cash flow this year, it doesn't mean next year it will not cash flow. It all depends on the rental income. Now, but capital gain, to assess your capital gain, you have to sell that property. Now, that will take us to in case of those who don't know capital gain, it's the appreciation you get in your house over time. Now, for those who who like not to sell. They don't want to sell, but they still want to take advantage of the capital gain. Man, that's the beauty of real estate. My house is appreciating. I bought it 300. It's not 700. And I don't want to sell my property. So the best way to get the equity take home, that is the best part of the of real estate. So now you're actually selling, but you're not selling to anybody. You're selling to yourself. You're just selling to yourself and take whatever profits you can take out. And it's tax-free. It's legal, and that's the beauty of real estate. And it's always in thousands and thousands, and not like cash flow. Equity take home or capital gain is bigger than the cash flow. Refinancing. Okay, let me see how we doing with time. Are we still on track?
Yes, sir. We still have about 15 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Refinancing. This is the beauty of real estate. I'm going to give this is a client. I just took one of my client statistics without the name so that everybody will better understand it. Now, this client has two properties. One is his primary residence, and the other one is his income property. Now, the first property is 2,100 square feet, built in 2005. He purchased it from the builder. I don't know the builder. I don't know the price he bought it, but I know from this, the house was sold, I think 2010. That's the first owner bought it from the original owner for 460. Now that's 10 years. 5 years after it was after built. He could have bought it. The original owner could have bought it 300, 350. I don't know, but I started the history started from 460. Now the third owner, which is my client, bought it as a permanent resident, 5% down at 2015 for 579. So now between 2005, 2010 and 2015, about 119 has gone on top of already on the house. Now, fast forward again, remember he entered in at 5%. Now, one thing about refinancing that we must know is the bank will not refinance, or the system will not refinance unless you have more than 20% equity in the house. So now, this particular client could not refinance till after the 5% he deposited on the purchase grew up to 20% and more. And now, what helped? He was paying mortgage every month. So that mortgage, part goes to principals, part goes to interest. Now, if it was a business house, the interest would be tax deductible. But because he lives there, the interest is not. But the part that goes to the principal was going into the equity. Now, because of also the market grew in terms of value. So now that also helped to push the 5% to more than 20%. Now, technically, I would say it takes about 5 to 6 years. If you jump in from 5%, it takes about 5 to 6 years before you cross. Just when your first term is expiring, that's when your house will cross the 5%. Now, sometimes we are lucky; the market will just exponentially grow quicker. Then you are lucky, and that's where knowing the market and knowing the business becomes very important. If you know the business, you know what type of mortgage to take in. So if you're lucky, within 3 years or within 3 years, the market goes high, you are able to get more than 20%, you can refinance and pull the money out. I have a client, he refinances every 2 years. He said, Godwin, I do that. If I buy a house now, second year, I refinance, I pull out my down payment, whatever I can get, 20,000, 30,000, I pull it out, I take the money somewhere. Now I know that house is on his own. I've taken my down payment out. He refinances his house every 2-3 years. So it took this client 5, 6, I think he refinanced at 9 years. Now, this what happened in 9 years. On the 9th year, after he purchased, he refinanced the house. The value of the house became 850. 850. When he did the equity take home was 245. Now, this is what happened. Refinancing is the bank valuing your house at today's value. They will leave 20% of today's value in the mortgage and pay off your old mortgage. Whatever is left, that's your equity take home. You take it home straight, burn it, use it, do anything you like, it's yours. Now, for him, after 9 years, he went home with 245. Now, imagine he bought this property maybe with a RSP loan, just for example. He borrowed at that time he bought this house, 579, the down payment would have been 25 to 27,000. I might be wrong, but plus give or take. Now, imagine he borrowed the money from RSP loan, he's paying interest to the bank. It might take him 5 years to pay all the interest, but if he borrows from RSP, you have 25 years to pay back. So now, let's assume he borrows it from a bank. It pays interest. Now, look at what he's making. He's making in 9 years. It's 245,000 cash. Now, if he had not bought this house, then maybe because he said, I don't have money, I will not borrow money for even if at 19%. Let's put it even to 19%. I won't borrow money. The opportunity cost will be this 245. But what most of us don't think as immigrants is we don't think about this opportunity cost. We only think about that interest is going to be paying on that RSP loan just for the discussion, whatever it is. So we should have changed our mindset, understand the business, and don't always just look at the face value. Look at the opportunity cost. Somebody once said it's not going to refinance. The refinancing cost was about the penalty was about 7,000, and he was planning to buy a commercial building, and you don't want to refinance because of 7,000. Now, you're looking at the face value of the 7,000 that you're going to pay off to get money from your house. You want to wait for years. Now, waiting for that years for the mortgage term to run, you might lose the opportunity. You might never get it again in life, and you might not even have a job at that time to even support the application. We need to change our mindset. Our mindset will help us, will prepare us if we have the right mindset. Don't just look at the face value. Always look at what am I losing if I don't do this deal. I always advise people, if you can afford that extra that is killing you now, if you can afford it from anywhere, look at the opportunity cost. Are you going to make more later? If it's yes, go ahead and do it. It's a plus to you. Now, this is the second property. Now, it's a rental property. He bought the property 2021 at 490 at 20% down payment. Rate was 3.44 then when he did. Now, it was renting in the main floor was 2,000. The basement was 1,350. Total rental income was 3,350. Property tax, insurance, mortgage was them. Now, his mortgage is low now because he paid 20%. Now, people will tell me sometimes, hey, Godwin, you're buying a house at 5% and you expect your mortgage to be 2,000. They will tell me, no, my rental will not cover it. I say, come on, man, you are buying at 5%. You are putting in 30,000. Now, this guy would have put in close to 100 and something thousand for his mortgage to be 2,000. If I have the choice to do it, I would choose the 5,000, the 5% one, and take my 107,000, go buy more properties. Now, if you buy more properties and there's appreciation in Calgary as a whole, if it's 10%, I'm not just getting 10% from one property anymore. I'm getting 10% from 4 properties. We need to start looking at it as businessmen, not as consumers. Consumers are the ones that will look at it. Hey, no, 5%. No, you're putting 5%. You should expect your mortgage to be high. Keep it up. If you can afford the extra for the next 3-5 years, you start enjoying the profits. And that when you are refinancing in 9 years' time, you're going to be making over 100, 200,000. We need to look at the opportunity cost. Now, the equity take home, it's the new value of the property minus 20% of that value minus your mortgage balance. That's what the bank will give to you. That's a simple, rough calculation. Now, when he did this, he refinanced it 2024 that's how many years? That's about 2021, so that's about 3 years. And he made 100 and 140 take home. Now, if he had not paid 20% down, he would have not been able to refinance at the 3rd year. So you need to understand the whole process and know the plus and minus of every one of them. Now, If you're buying the second or third or fourth home, you're already running the rental business, whether you believe it or not, whether you know it or not. I'm just going to rush to this. You're going to be advertising your property, prepared for showing. You have to be showing. You have to screen tenants. You have to sign these. There's different types of lease agreement. You have to do a moving inspection. You have to do a periodic inspection. You have to do maintenance. You're going to have problems from tenants. Obviously, sometimes we're lucky. We have about 310 properties now, and I have about 2-3 cases in court. So you're definitely going to have problem from tenants. Everybody cannot be an agent. There's no system that is perfect. You might be an agent today when you come into the house, and by the time life falls, you become a devil. So anything can happen. We expect to have that. Property damage, noise, drug, police issue. There was one that his friend was a robber, and the police came to bust the house, arrested everybody. You're going to get different problems. But now, doesn't mean you're not going to have a perfect situation. It might happen. You got to do a move out inspection. You have to do releasing. So now, all these comes along with having a rental business. If you don't know how to do it, if you don't have the time, they are not rocket science. Just detail and know what to do. Abata is the best place to do rental business. In BC or Toronto, to get a tenant out of a property, sometimes it takes 6 months to a year. But in Abata, if you know what to do, the right way to do it, I tell my tenant, you cannot stay in any of our properties for more than 2 months. The first month, we already have one deposit already. You paid from the beginning. The following month, you are getting out. There's no two ways about it. So if you know what to do, rental business is actually a great business. Now, if you don't have time to do all this, just hire a property manager. For the fact that it's a rental property, the cost is also a tax write-off as well. It's an expense. It saves you a lot of stress. Factors affecting rental business: location, floor plans. I'll give you an example of this floor plan. There was 2 clients on the same street. I was the one that helped them to buy the same house, the same type. It was a duplex, the same layout, the same size, the same everything on the same street. Now, one of them did some upgrades. I will tell him, I say, let's do this upgrade. Tenants are attracted to this. They will like this. He will do it. Do this. He will do it. He spent extra about 15,000 to do the upgrade. Then client B said, Godwin, I'm not spending one dime more. Standard. I tried to advise him. I say, hey, you're not going to enjoy this at the end of the day. It never believes. I can only do what you ask. I'll suggest, I'll advise, but I have to obey what you say. So we processed the 2 of them. And coincidentally, they both got possession the same month. Now, they were both in the market at the same time, the same market. The one that did upgrade ended up, at that time, the main floor was going for 1,600, 3-bedroom main floor, 1,500 square feet. It got rented the following month. As it came out middle of the month, I got somebody for the following month, 1,600. The one that refused to upgrade was in the market for 3 months. And at the end, I ended up renting it for 1,400. Now, look at A and B. A spent 15,000 extra more. It got rented. He didn't waste money on any mortgage payment alone. Now, and that is going to remain for the whole life of that property. And he got $200 more than the other client who did not do any upgrade. Wasted 3 months mortgage payment. That could be around, depending on the mortgage, that could be around 5,000 already for that 3 months. And now he's going to have that problem for the rest of that property. So the problem is not really the business. It's not really the rental business. The problem is how you are doing it. Floor plan, layout, the community you buy a house. I see people buying a house in a community where you have low income earners. Location, types of property, bungalow level, the ceiling height, especially in the basement. Everything affects your rental business. If you know what to do, you enjoy property business. City is also part of it. Now, city, for example, I use Calgary and Edmonton. Calgary has a high a stronger rental market than Edmonton. But now to buy properties in Calgary, you have to invest high capital to buy properties in Calgary than in Edmonton. So you need to know all this, factor all this in before you jump in. There was a client that asked me to get a house for him in Edmonton. Try to explain to him. At the end, we got it, but he never factored in the market value. He was expecting to rent the Edmonton property just the same way he rents Calgary property. Told him, no, I've explained this from the beginning. There are two different markets. Now, he will be complaining he's not making much from that, but I keep reminding him, hey, remember you had a low capital investment in that property as well. So you need to know what you're doing, know exactly how you're doing, what you're doing, the strategy, the reason why you're doing it before you jump into anything. Now, for those that will be doing pre-sale, that's going to the builder to buy, it's key that you know what you're doing. As little as lot selection can make your business difficult. Now, the location of your gradient, the slope, is your lot sloping from back to front or front to back. It matters. Everything matters. Is there a gutter at the back of your property? There was a client that got a house, but a gutter at the back of the property, and it was towards the downside of the hill. Now, when snow met, he bought a house in the summer. Nobody knew what was happening, and when snow met, as the snow is melting and flowing down, it goes to flood his basement. Now, when I went to check, I noticed that the gutter that the developer did wasn't big enough to take the flow of the water to convey them. When it gets to the curve, it overflows the curve and goes straight to his basement. Now, we had to fight with the developer and the city for them to come and resolve it. Everything matters. The parking. Corner lots, sometimes you can't park in front. Most people don't know. They just say it's a bigger lot. Not all the corner lots are great lots. Some of them you cannot park in front. What good is it when you can't park in your front? If a tenant is coming to stay in that house and they can't park in front, they're definitely going to move away the following year. But you will not know all these things until they start living there. Is there a bus stop in your house, in your front of your house? Is there a street light? Is the street light facing? Is your house facing intersection or beside the runabout? You have to know, check everything and make sure you cross every T's and dot every I's. Is your house close to condo? Is it back in front, facing in front? Is there a fire hydrant in front of your house? Everything is important. And that will affect your business. People that don't do well in their rental business is not really because of the rental business. There are people enjoying rental business and they are doing more. It's just how you are doing it. You need to get the right people or understand, learn, educate yourself, get the knowledge before you jump into it. Now, take this home if you don't take any of that home. Success is preparation plus opportunity. Now, there's God factor in everything we do. There's God factor. There's God's favor. Now, the God favor will bring the opportunity. I always tell everybody I know, the opportunity is God to bring. Now, but you will not recognize the opportunity if you don't prepare yourself. If you prepare yourself, when the opportunity is passing, you say, yeah, that's an opportunity, you grab it. So knowledge is key. You need to prepare yourself. Now, if you get all the knowledge and still don't act, remember the definition of investment, and you still don't take that action, when the opportunity comes, you will not be able to grab it. And sometimes people say, God is blessing that person, is not blessing me. It's not that God is not blessing you. Maybe you have not actually prepared yourself for you to recognize all the blessings God is throwing your way. And let me see, I think that should be it. I'm hoping that this 45 minutes, I've been able to at least encourage someone, clear somebody's doubt so that they can jump on the property wagon. Like I said, it's not the only investment. It's just one type of investment. And for me, I think it's a great investment for first immigrant. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, sir, for that beautiful presentation. For so many of us that we are new in the system, I think this is pretty inciting and also like really insightful, encouraging, and just like you said, success is preparation for opportunity, and we've had a lot of information here tonight. And I'm glad that this is also recorded, and I hope this will share with maybe other people that are not here and those that would love to listen to it again, especially for some of us that we don't understand capital gains and a lot of other things. Like I think that really makes a lot of sense to get a feeling of it because this is our first property, and I think I was talking to one of our members recently and was telling me about, investment property, the down payment is quite different, and you provided so much insight today. And also when you mentioned the issue of you taking out of your credit card to buy a property, I was like, what? Especially the percentage that comes with our credit card, that was a bold step, and we really, really appreciate the insights that you've given to us tonight, and we say God bless you. So we have some questions in the chat, and quickly I would read through them, and then you can answer those questions. The first question says that, is it advisable to invest as an individual or as a trust?
Trust, it's different. I don't have, okay, let me say, when you say trust, what do you really mean? Oh, is it like a family trust? Or is it like trust with different people? That will need a clarification to that. Because trust is not my domain, but.
Hello, sir. This is Joel. Actually, I'm using my wife's Zoom. But why I asked the question is because you're talking about generational wealth. And we know individual investments are stable to different exposure, right? But trust has some sort of protection long-term into the future generation. So I have a couple of friends doing that in the States. So I'm thinking, I've been slowing down, though. I'm thinking if I want to go head on into this, should I be going as an individual, exposing myself, or going as an entity which has a lot of, protection against, the government of the day, considering they love to just collect all the time?
Yeah, thank you for that. A good question. Actually, you and I were both in the same boat. Just recently, I'm also trying to then go into that trust. I've been hearing about it. I've been asking different specialists for 2 months now. I've done some investigation. I'm already changing my mind regarding that. But I would advise you speak to a trust specialist because that's a different ballgame. But from my research, I'm pausing mine to do later because of so many things involved along with trust. Now, but what you're trying to do, I do understand, is exactly the same thing I'm doing. Now, the way we are doing it in my family now is we're going ahead doing it individually. Now, as an individual, I think you're allowed X number of properties to be in your name, personal name. Now, I will also suggest from my experience, like I said, these are all my experiences. If the properties are in your name right now, your family name, you, your wife, and you are still working, like employment. Now, you can channel all the losses, anything from it. So you're paying tax as well. It's your tax, your accountant they will tell you that it's nothing illegal. You tie it to your personal filing. You'll be able to get some tax break on that one. That's a plot. That's what we are doing right now for hunting. It grow to a level because I talked to some different trust lawyers. I came to realize that this trust is not just as in Canada. I don't know about US. It's not just as easy and straightforward that I was thinking that to do exactly what you're trying to do now. So for my family, we're sticking to continue the way we're doing it now. Now, if your properties are in a corporate name, it becomes a different dynamics. It becomes business. 5% is out of the way totally. There's no way you're going to be in a business, a corporate name. You get a protection, but 5% you are restricted. You're restricted, and the tax break will not be there because it's no longer in your name. They only give you tax credit. And tax credit, you have to make money for that tax credit to be effective to you. I hope I'm able to answer your question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for that. The next question here says, do all real estate investment result in profit when you factor capital gain tax? I've heard of people going bankrupt through real estate investment. So the question is, do all real estate investment result in profit? I know you touched based on that, and maybe you could just summarize that for us.
Yeah. For capital gain, every family has an exemption to some level. Your tax specialist would, if you talk to your accountant, they will explain that to you better. I'm not an accountant, but I know every family, and the tax and the capital gain comes in not in your primary residence, it's on your business house. But you still get the gain on your primary residence. I believe because of the exemption, it doesn't apply. Like if it's a primary residence, you don't expect it to pay the capital gain. Now, talk to your accountant on that. They will better explain. But for business, it's a different ball game, and you're not paying tax on the 100%. I think it's about 50%. So even the Bible says, "Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar." Now, if you're making 100,000 and you're paying tax on 50,000, and you're not giving them 50,000, they're paying tax on 50,000. You'll still make money. If you're running a business, you have to pay tax. But the accountant will best tell you how many ways to go around it to get some tax exemption. But capital gain, I know every family has some limit that is free for them.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. The next question says, how are you able to afford multiple properties without having to pay 20% down payment? Is 20% always advisable?
Okay. If it's always advisable, I would say not always advisable. There's some client that says, I want to pay 20%, I want to pay 30%. There was a client I had, was the only one, he was trying to even pay up to 80%. Everybody's different. Now, if you don't have money to pay 20%, 30%, 50%, does that mean you're not going to grow? We use liability to get assets. That's for first immigrant, if you don't have money. If you don't do it, but like I said, you have to know what you are doing so they don't put you into bigger debt. You just need to know what you are doing so that people lose money, bankrupt. It could be as hard. Decision is key in everything. Let's assume I have 10 houses, for example, and things are going tough. I always tell people, if you have 10 houses, things are going tough, what do? You just sit down and do your calculation. What's the best way out? Which of the properties am I going to dispose of to keep the rest? Decision. Now, if you don't make the right decision at the right time, you get burnt. Now, if you look at the history of people that have declared bankruptcy, there's something that they didn't do well. If you go to those people, they will tell you they just learned one way not to do the business. So we don't, because of somebody got burnt and not say I won't do it. No, you need to find out what did they do wrong so that I can correct it. Learn from their mistake, not your mistake. So the risk is there. Now, in terms of the 5%, 20%, for me, like I said, if I can get the over 5%, I will, because I can use the other 15% to start looking for something else, investing something else. It's all about maximizing the little capital we have. But if you have money enough to do all the 20%, go ahead. It's good. Your mortgage is dropped. It's reduced. Now, how do you do it? There's a gray area in the law. It's not illegal, gray area, but you have to be ready to do. I'll give you an example. My family have done it. When people see me move from one house to the other, I say, God, what are you crazy? What are you doing? You're moving again? You left your house to a different house? They don't know the reason. Now, the law says your primary residence is 5%. So now, if I'm moving from one house that I already have, I'm going to a different house, I'm renting it out. The one that I'm moving from becomes a non-primary residence, becomes a business house. So the one I'm moving in now becomes a primary residence for me. So technically, that is 5%. So if you meet the right mortgage broker, the right bank, they will look at, there are 3 different mortgage insurers in Canada. If one doesn't insure it, the second one will insure it. Don't be the one to say no to yourself. Try it. It has worked for so many clients. I have moved 3 times. So if you're not ready to move, you want to say, okay, my house is it's a beautiful home, I'm not moving, then you might not be able to take advantage of that. It's a gray area in the law. It's there. You can use it, or you can decide not to use it. It's a primary resident. Now, for example, you're in Calgary. Another perfect example. You can do it within Calgary, within the same place, as far as you move, or you can do it across cities. It's just to look at people who have done it before. Ask them how they did it. Information. But it's very possible to get second home with 5%. Even the third home sometimes with 5%, depending on the variables. The bank look at, they don't use the same criteria for A and B and C. They look at the situation. They look at the situation and look at the situation and they approve it. And now, mortgage broker, you have to meet the right mortgage broker. It's like, they're like lawyers. I've seen a situation where a client of mine came to me with his mortgage broker and he was refused the application. I refer him to a second mortgage broker who think outside the box, and he will get it approved. They are like lawyers. If the mortgage broker cannot, a practical example, there was a Ghanaian guy that came, he used his credit card to buy cars, send it home, max, and he was now going to buy a mortgage, buy a house. The bank he came with refused to approve it. His credit card is max. So I referred him to a different mortgage broker who called him and asked him, what happened? He said, I just bought cars and sent it home for my family. The guy makes a good money. He has down payment, but because of his max credit card, it was not approved. So the new mortgage broker just called the adjuster, hey, look at this guy's history. He bought cars and sent it home. He's good for the loan. And they approve it. So mortgage brokers are like lawyers. If you have a good lawyer, you win your case. Who can present your case properly, you win it. If you have one that just want to check the box, hey, your credit is that. I've seen mortgage broker call the bank adjuster, call the CMAC, argue a case with them, and they approve it. So there are many reasons people are not being approved. You just have to be, don't kill yourself before the battlefield. That's what I tell people. Let the bank tell you no.
Thank you so much for that. That already answered the next question, which was talking about I want to buy a house, a thought, but 20% everyone is telling me to bring, and as of now, so that has been answered already. So I'll get a perfect mortgage broker, not just the one that wants to take the boxes, the one that could make influence for you. The next question is basically the impact of changes in policies, especially now Canada. A couple of months ago, they said, okay, next 2025, we want to bring 500,000 new immigrants. And now the government feels like, okay, there is an issue with housing and we just want to reduce it. We're going to bring 380,000 people in 2025. So if an individual purchases 20 houses, for instance, and is unable to find tenant for those properties, in that situation, what happens, especially with a plan to reduce immigration in the coming year? So does reduction in immigration affect the real estate?
Good question. But I would say, now, back to what I said during the presentation, it's not what the market is. It's what you do in the market. Now, you cannot control the policies. We're in there. Whatever policy that's been made, you cannot, because of that, say, okay, if you not say, because of that, I'm not buying, I'm not going to it. You're just killing yourself. It's just you. In that same market, somebody will buy and sell. Now, that person is not different from you. It's same guy like you too. All you need to do is to look at the market if it does happen. Like I said, prices goes up both in purchase and in rental, the same thing. Now we're looking after about 300 and something. We rent them. Now the ones that are unable to rent are the ones the owner don't comply. If I go to the owner and say, hey, the market is bad, I'll give a practical example. A basement in Cornerstone last month, 1 bedroom, We used to get 1,300 from it. Now we cannot even get 1,200. I was going to say, what's happened to the market? I look at the market. I found out that there were 28 one-bedroom basements in one community. So I said, okay, that is it. There's no way we're going to rent even for 1,200. I started calling the owner and say, hey guys, the market is rough. We have to adjust to the market. The same thing will happen when they are immigrants. The same thing, whatever happens, you just look at the market and say, okay, how do I adjust to survive? Now, I told some of them, I say, guys, let's break it down. Some of them agree. I said, okay, drop it $100. In a year, you're losing $1,200. But your mortgage for that house is more than $2,000. So it just makes sense. Let's drop it. You're losing $100. It might just be for this year. Next year, you get more.
Mm-hmm.
So now, some of them agreed. I dropped it, they got rented. Some of them said no. There's actually a client that actually took his property from me, thinking, and the property was even there for another 2-3 months without being renting. So that is it. You just need to understand the market. So now, if it does happen, all you need to, there's nothing like you cannot get your house rented. Are you going to tell me now that if you put your house for free, somebody will come and stay there? It's just adjust to the market. You can always rent. We have over 300 properties and they are all tenants there. So please, don't let that fear that you will not be able to rent. It's a myth. You just need to adjust to the market. If it's too high, it's not rocket science. Over 300, if you go to Rent Faster, it's the best place to get to use. Rent Faster will tell you how many people check your ad in a day. My rule of thumb, if 300 people check my ad and nobody is calling, I call you the owner and say, hey, guy, we're wasting time. 300 people, nobody is calling. I drop it by $100. But now, if I get to a level where people are calling, hey, I want to come and see your house. They come in, they look at it, they don't take it, then it's a different problem entirely. People are coming, they are not taking it. That's okay, guys. They don't like the house. They have options. They're going somewhere else. Let's induce the market. Let's drop it by $50. Then I drop by $50. If you will always rent, you might not rent at the same price. If you have in your head that oh, I must rent my basement, some majority, sorry to say, I get that a lot with Nigerians, my brothers. They have it as they don't want to drop it. They have a preset amount of money, a mindset that this is what we're going to rent it. Business is not that way. There are sometimes you can rent more than you'll enjoy it. And that's because majority of them are thinking the only way to make money from real estate is just cash flow. Now, you are losing out on other things because now if you don't get a tenant there, that appreciation, that capital gain will not be as much as it will be. Now, the 140, the second property from renter, it was because the renter was paying the rent. That's why he got there. If there was nobody contributing to the rent, you will not get as much. So don't always look at the cash flow. Cash flow is good. It's very good. If you have it, it's a plus. But don't just base all your business on cash flow. If it is, people in Toronto and BC, I don't think they'll be buying properties. So I don't believe any of the properties there, except you want to put 20-30% in it. Now, if you put 20% in it, and you think actually the business is good. No, the business is not actually the best business. You just loaded the investment up with cash. That cash would have gone somewhere else and get more. So it all depends on how we look at things. If you look at it from this angle, I'll give a practical example. A company that I had in those days, a shoemaking company sent 2 of their staff members to go to India to check in the good old days, to go check the potentials for them. The first one got there and said, all the villagers, everybody, they don't put on shoe. He came back and said, man, that place is a bad place for us. Let's get out of that place. The second one went and came back and said, man, they don't wear shoe. Multiply the number of people there, but everything. That's a great opportunity. 2 people, they're seeing the same condition, but they were seeing it differently. The same thing goes for real estate business. So you need to understand real estate business and start looking at it differently.
Thank you so much, sir, for that
comprehensive answer. Basically, I mean, in business, you need to understand the market and the pricing and adjust appropriately. Yeah. And so the next question is about home equity line of credit. What are the steps in refinancing? That's number one. Which is better, home equity line of credit or refinancing? What are the benefits of refinancing when cash is pulled out? I think I'll take it one after the other. So what are the steps in refinancing? Number one. The numbers two is which is better, home equity line of credit or refinancing? And what are the pros and the cons of the two?
Thank you. That's a very good question. I keep trying to explain to even I had this conversation 2 days ago with another client, the same thing. Now, let's put it this way. The steps, I'm not a mortgage specialist. The mortgage specialist will tell you exactly everything. I'm only sharing my experience because I have refinanced my family home. So I'm sharing now. You need to have an income. That's for sure. And that's why I keep saying when you have the income, make do with it. Why you can. You need the income. Now, you don't need down payment anymore because you are refinancing the home. The equity is there. Before they even agree to refinance, it's above 20% already. So you have money on it already. Now, banks are there to make money as well. There are different kinds of refinancing, different ways. Now, so far, I've only seen, I'm not yet to advertise any bank, but it's what has happened to me. I've got different clients has come and they complain. Now, if you're not careful, equity line of credit is the same as equity take home, but in a different format. There's just a layman explanation. If you need the professional explanation, please go see a mortgage specialist. Now, equity line of credit, they value your house just like they value your house in the financing, and they tell you, okay, we can give you this X amount of money. Now, two ways you can take that money. Either you take it cash out. Not all the banks do that. Some bank will tell you, hey, we don't do that. We'll give you equity line of credit. Now, the difference is you have the same monies, you are getting money from your equity, but one, you are paying interest on it from the get-go. Now, what we did in my family is, oh, am I good?
You go to the you're right. Keep going.
What we did in my family, I was lucky. It's not because I knew before. It was just the God's favor that worked on me. The bank that we are using was the bank that would do a creative way the way I wanted it. I told them, hey, I need that cash. I don't want to be paying interest because if they give you equity line of credit from your equity, and you pull, for example, you're going to buy another house, you are taking 100,000 from it. Right then and then, you are paying interest on that 100,000. It's your money. Why should you be paying interest in it? If I don't have anything to do with that money, I say, okay, give me the line of credit. I'll use it in the future. That's different. But when I have something to do with it, why would I take equity line of credit, put the money out, and I'll be paying interest from the very beginning, from my own money already? Doesn't make sense to me. So I told my bank, I say, hey, I won't take that. I need to pull out the cash, put it in a separate account. Now, what they did for me is they pull out the cash out, no interest. Pull out the cash to a different account. They now also set up the equity line of credit on it in a way that every mortgage I pay every month now, part goes into the equity line of credit, part goes into the interest. So now, the equity line of credit, as we are paying the mortgage every month, it starts growing again. So that same tune. So now, if I now decide to take money from there, I will now be paying interest on it. So now, but the first cash I pull out, the same thing I did for that client. When I advised him, he actually did the same thing. The 245 was taken out. The 140 something was taken out. So now there's equity line of credit, but zero value at the time he took it out, right? At the time he took it out was zero. So now every mortgage he pays, the equity line of credit start going back again, which he can use if he wants to use it, but then he's paying interest on the new one, which is okay for me. But the very first one he pulled out, there was no interest payment. So now, the unfortunate thing is not all the bank does it. I've only seen one bank that do that, only one. So You have to know what you're doing. Like, it comes back to knowing what. Now, some people will get to the bank and say, okay, we'll give you the equity line of credit. You take it, and you're paying interest. So tomorrow, the person will be crying, no, it's a bad thing. Actually, it's not bad. You just need to know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. That's the trick.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
able to answer the question.
I hope that's clear. Yeah, then I could see a nod and from the person that asked the question, and yeah, so that is well answered, sir. So there's a
Sorry,
there's
just disclaimer. I'm not a mortgage specialist, please. Like I said, I'm not a tax specialist.
disclaimer.
See professionals, please.
All right, thank you so much for that. So seek help from mortgage specialists that are expert and they know their onions properly. So
yes.
So another question is after refinancing your property, still about refinancing, and you have the equity takeover, what will be your equity percentage in the property?
20%. At the day you are doing it, like if you look at the formula, it's just me creating that formula. They don't explain it that way, but that's basically what it is. It's just my layman the way I could explain it. Your new value minus 20% of the new value. So if it's 800,000, 20% of 800,000 will be left in the mortgage. Then minus your balance, they pay out all your mortgage. Now, another thing about my bank was they blended the rate because it's a new mortgage now. I did mine when the mortgage was about 5%. Initially, it was lower. So now what they did, they blend the rate. It becomes around 4 something. Not all banks do that. So some bank will close that mortgage totally and use a new rate. So you need to understand the bank you are in and everything when you are getting into the mortgage.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. We have about 5 minutes left, and just like we started a few minutes ago, and I think people are still enjoying the session, and hopefully we can have this again. So there's another question here. It says, can you use the co-own system for investing here in North America? I'm not sure about that. It's low exposure and good for creating portfolio.
When you say co-own, is it multiple people buying?
I want to believe, Michael.
Okay.
So
if it is,
yes, it is.
It's easier.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So basically,
Now,
it's like everybody, like it's like a condo, or what you call condo, and then maybe if it's in a good community, multiple, we could say we can have a block of five blocks, and then each block might represent 20% of the cost of the property, and then depends on your equity, you own it, and then you share profit based on your equity, something of that nature.
Yes, that's it's another aspect of real estate investment. Now, if nothing wrong with it, if you check it out, I haven't done it with it. It's what you're talking about now. I've forgotten there's a name in it in real estate. It's actually they get people in to come together, co-own, and they share based on how much you invest. It's great. It's great. People do it. I haven't done it. For me, like I said, we came to this country at an older age, so I know the type of investment I put in my money in. I want to own something that can propel the next generation. So it's good. It's a good invest strategy. Now, the one I thought he was talking about was where 6 people will come together and buy. That is also good. I've done that in the past. I'm still doing it, but there are complications if you don't have the right people in it. It's an excellent way to do it. The more people you have, the more challenging it becomes. So the fewer, the better. It's both investment style is perfect. It all depends on everybody's investment strategy, but they're both good.
Thank you so much for that. I think this will be the last but not the least question for today. Would you advise buying an investment property before personal own?
Sorry, again. I didn't understand that.
So the person is interested in buying an investment property. So would you advise for someone to buy an investment property before buying for personal own?
Okay, residential. That's so primary.
Residential. Residential.
Like I said, it all depends on his situation. Now, what's good for me might not be good for you. you have to look at your strategy. I'll give an example. I had a young client, very young, who I encouraged to get into properties. He was still in school, just finished school, started work. Now he's buying a property. For him, he doesn't need to be in there. So he bought it for business. So in his situation, it's ideal. Good. Now, your situation, I don't know. If you have a family and you're buying for business and your family is not well situated, then there's a question mark there. Are you going to be getting investment at the expense of your family? So it all depends on your situation. Both are good, depending on what you are trying to achieve and depending on your situation. There's no wrong or right in investment. There's no wrong or right. It's just like somebody say, I'm doing cash flow. They don't want to say I'm doing capital gain. They don't want to say I'm going to combine both. It's nothing wrong. Everybody's strategies is different. Don't look at A strategy to do your B strategy. No. Everybody's on his own lane. You just have to sit down and check yourself. Is this the best situation for my family? If you don't have a family, your wife is not, your children is not yet, what are we talking about? That's the best thing for you to do. You can even buy it as the primary residence, stay there for some time, move out to be able to buy it in 5% if you don't have money. After some time, you move out to rent it out. You can do that. Different creative ways, still within the guidelines of the law. You're doing everything within the law. So it all depends on your situation. It's good for, it could be bad for you depending on the situation. It could be good for you depending on the situation.
Thank you so much for that. It's important to weigh your situations properly, understand the market, and lastly, from me, success is preparation for plus opportunity. Over to my brother Batunde. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thanks, brother. Yes, Mr. Godwin Osage wants to say a very big thank you. To you. It's been a wealth of transfer, from you tonight, and we can tell from the attendance, and it's just unfortunate that we have to come to the end. So I want to thank you especially, for all that you've shared, and we know that there will be concrete steps, that will be taken as a result of our meeting tonight. And several things that we've learned tonight. And, one key quotable quote here is that don't kill yourself before the battlefield. That's very key. And I understand that for most of us, from where we are coming from, most of us are not risk takers. I think most of us are risk averse. And so information is key in making our decisions. So make sure that you understand the market. It's very important. Always ask questions, and as much as possible, understand and adjust to the market. So thank you once more. We appreciate your time, and we don't take it for granted. God bless you. So for everyone that has joined tonight, we want to thank you especially. This is the day one of our men's convention for this year, 2024. And you can see, I'm sure that you've been blessed immensely. The program continues tomorrow with our couples dinner. So it's for couples. And we can tell if you've been invited tonight, please come tomorrow. Our church is the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Amazing Grace Assembly. It is located at CKE Community Center. It's 1015 73 Avenue, Southwest Calgary. So our couples dinner for tomorrow is 5:30 to 9 p.m. So you're all invited. Come, the grandmas, the grandparents, come with your children. They will be well taken care of. And we'll be rounding up on Friday with our Thanksgiving. Once more, if you've been blessed tonight, it's still going to continue tomorrow as well as on Sunday. So please, you're all invited, and would expect to see you all. Thanks so much for the turnout tonight, and we expect to see you all tomorrow. Thank you. So let's as we wrap up, let's just
before you do that, I just want to mention, I know that the recording stopped, at a particular time. I think someone, maybe Braupera, was recording on the system. But just want to inform you that this session is being live streamed on our YouTube page. And so even if you missed this session or you want to share this link with anybody, just go to YouTube, search for RCCG Amazing Grace Assembly Calgary, and you'll find us on YouTube. And then you'll find this video also there. Just need to put that in. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I think let's just share the grace as we depart. With the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ. Let's all mute, please, and share the grace. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ,
the love of God,
and the sweet
and the sweet fellowship of the Holy Spirit, rest and abide with us now and forevermore. Amen.
Amen.
God's goodness and
mercy shall follow us
all the days of our lives. We shall dwell in the house of God forever and ever. Amen.
you all for coming. See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you,
God bless
Mr.
you, Mr.
Godwin.
Godwin.
Thank you.
Thank you.